You know, people say I always have my camera with me, and that seems to them unique. And what to me seems bizarre is that the other guys don't have their cameras with them. I mean, it is so much easier to take pictures if you have the camera with you.
One of the things I learned on the street was to trust life and to keep hands off of it. And that same feeling continues in the rest of the work I do, the landscape or portraits or any interest that I have. Things are good enough as they are. There's no reason to tamper with them.
I have this old school kind of notion of I don't change anything. You know, I don't ever go and ask somebody to turn the light on in the house, and I don't say, hey, can you move your minivan out of the driveway? And I just will skip that house. And I like sticking by that rule for myself, where I just prefer to discover something instead of making it happen.
I don't have any particular thing I go out to shoot, to go out empty, to have the real joy of not having something to shoot.
You have to have it come through you and out of you. In a sense, you are the medium, more so than the film is, because all those experiences have to pass through you first to land on that film and to make their way out to the world in a clear, concise statement. This is what I saw.
You have to decide at some point whether you're interested in the process or the product. And if you spend your life at something you don't like and you don't get the product at the end, you don't get fame and fortune and power, then you've wasted your life. If, on the other hand, you love what you do, nothing else matters. It's its own reward. Everybody uses the phrase composition. I think framing is more accurate. You're not composing the thing, you're not constructing it, you're not making it. All you're doing is deciding where you want to put the frame around it. How do you decide what goes inside the frame and what goes outside the frame? There's the big story. That's the big one. That's where your intuition comes in. And you have to trust your intuition. First of all, you have to look. And second of all, you have to see. Because there's a big difference between the two. And once you see something, you have to figure out what part of it do I not need. Because the old adage, less is more, is usually true.
The photographers who really understand the nature of the medium, we're trying to unify all of the things we see in an organized way, in a rectangle, so that it makes for an interesting moment of observation. Mm-hmm. To me, I call that the game of sight. It's just the pleasure of being out in the world and noticing the little details and the big gestures. When you look at paintings, every painter has his or her own iconography. Scribble, scratch, big brush strokes, circles, thrown paint. People choose a form for their language. Photographers are stuck with reality. You press the button, you got pavement, cars, sky, telephone poles, signage, people. You got all of it. How do you make sense out of it? How do you render it personally yours or beautiful? There's some way in which we have to merge with the subject and the moment. In a way, we have to give up our own ego and our self-consciousness and feel the potential meanings in the moment And that comes like a breeze, it just comes over us, and we recognize it in a moment. And it's in those moments that photography exists, because that's when you press the button. Photography captures a moment. There's an understanding of the temporal nature of time's movement and passage, and the actions we see that take place in that are things we can comprehend quite fully if we've practiced the medium long enough. And it's something to aspire to. And photography isn't pure mechanical, press the button, aim the lens. Photography also has this spiritual dimension in which your humanity is what is being recorded along with the subject matter. And if you look at the work of any great photographer, Robert Frank, Cartier-Bresson, you see again and again in the photographs the expression of their humanistic qualities, how moved they were by what they saw. Something that is so special about this medium, that a machine can record emotions and feelings and humanity, and we give this to each other as our offering. It's not just about shaping a picture nicely in a frame, but how much compassion or emotion or understanding can you bring to the frame with an interesting arrangement of all this information. And I think that's the secret of photography in the 21st century.
If it doesn't excite you, the thing that you see, then why in the world would it excite me? Not that you have me to please, but if it doesn't please you, why bother?